In this video with the On King, we've got a special guest, Doc Zay, and we're really excited for this. Doc Zay has preferred that we keep him anonymous, so we blurred his face, but nonetheless, everything he has to share with you is very, very good.
And we're live. We're live here with Doc Zay. Doc, how you doing?
What's up, man?
How's life?
It was a lot better until I saw that Ohio State shirt that you're wearing right now. That has effectively ruined my day.
I had to do it for you. You can't expect to wear that shirt without. No. True
Hey, man,
Buckeye
I
here.
I threw this shirt on just to rep my team, man. We made the College World Series. We out here, we doing things, man. Top 16 in all three sports.
Oh, I love it. I
I don't know
love
what to
it.
tell you, man. All we do is win.
That's right. Except when you play the Buckeyes. All right. Anyway,
Mhm.
why are we here? We're here because we want to know about you, man. Tell me how you got involved with the
I,
Anki.
I,
You're like the
I,
man.
I'm sorry, On King. I still just need another second to shake that one off, man. That was rough. But whew, lost my whole train of thought, brother. All right, anyway, so med school, Anki, it was dumb luck. I was sitting in lecture and realizing that I was making a mistake by sitting in lecture. I knew there had to be a better way, had to be a smarter way to do med school because lectures, that's not my thing. And so I'm just Googling and I come across the med school Anki Reddit page and I start off as a lurker. I download the Bros deck and didn't really touch it. I didn't really understand its usefulness. I just downloaded it because I downloaded a bunch of stuff that I thought would help. Um, and then right around the start of my second year, I used Bros for my first test, and then I saw Zonky and I switched over.
Mhm.
Um,
Good call.
and that it was a good move, I think, but I still didn't fully understand how to use it. And so, just like all the people do now, I was asking questions that I could have easily used the search bar for. And Blue Galaxies, the moderator of the sub, was nice enough to actually answer those questions for me. Um, and so that's kind of when the relationship started. I went ahead and took step one, made a lot of mistakes, and realized I have knowledge to share to help people not tread those same waters that I did. And so that's kind of how I became more active on the sub. And
Well,
then from
tell
there
me
it
about
was,
that.
oh man,
Tell me about step one. I mean, what happened? What went wrong? What would you recommend people do differently?
I got a lot of life lessons from step one. The first thing you want to do is you want to have a good schedule, and you want to be flexible with that schedule.
Yeah.
I used Cram Fighter and I built a very nice schedule. The issue was when things came up, it was hard to bounce back from that. So my wife was pregnant um, throughout pretty much the entirety of my second year, and she was due kind of at the end of dedicated. I was gonna take step one, then the baby was gonna be born. I was gonna be able to focus all my attention on her. That was the plan. But babies kind of come when they want to come. So
Hmm.
she came early, and this she came right in the middle of dedicated. That threw everything for a loop. I had only studied for 2 weeks. I wasn't ready to take the thing, so took about a week off, maybe about half a week off when she was born, and then got back at it, pushed my test date back, got back at it, um, and then we had a storm. The storm led to mold in our house, and the house we were renting, and we had to move. Um,
Oh
kind
man.
of kind of an
Mm.
emergency move with an infant. I mean, she is like 3 weeks old, man. Like,
Yeah.
and
Oof.
even that, it was rough. So this forced me to push it back again. And I probably didn't push it back farther enough. I don't, grammar,
Hmm.
but it didn't go far enough. That's all I know. And that's issue number one. Issue number two, and oh man, all the viewers are gonna wonder what the heck I was thinking. I did not keep up with my reviews second year. So at the start of dedicated,
Oh man.
I
Man.
I reset my entire Zonky and somehow convinced myself I would do the whole 24,000 card deck in my 5 weeks of dedicated. Um,
Nah, man. I got a
so-
video for you on doing reviews every day. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want to hear it. I learned this lesson the hard way. The video didn't exist when I was going through this.
All right. Fair enough.
But the issue that arises with that is you're not really even allowing yourself the chance to retain. I mean, I tried. I suspended cards I knew, and I had it whittled down to maybe a 4,000 card deck. Um, but the issue is, I mean, you're not getting the space repetition. You're not even using Anki for its purpose. And so that was problem number two. Problem number three, I barely made a dent in UWorld.
Oof.
Which, I tricked myself into thinking, well, if I know Zonky, who needs a question bank, right? Oh man, stupidity. Stupidity. That's the only way to describe what went wrong there. Uh,
That's the
here's
real
here's
rule
what I
number
should
one.
have done. Seriously,
Mm.
here's what I should have done. I should have gone through UWorld and from concepts I didn't know, from questions that I missed, pull all the relevant Zonky cards into one deck and just do that deck. Because that's the most high yield deck you can make. A lot of people get on Reddit and they ask, what's the most high yield deck for step one? The reality is the most high yield deck covers concepts that you are not familiar with. If you are amazing at psychiatry, a deck that is psych heavy is not a high yield deck for you because it's reviewing things you already know. All those cards should be mature.
Yeah.
But that was my issue, man, is I kept reinforcing concepts I knew, like cardio, and not even touching stuff that I was unfamiliar with, like neuro or micro or biochem. God, I had so much biochem on my test. It was ridiculous. Um, and so what I do know is a lot of people have wrong ideas about how you can use Zonky effectively. And I had those wrong ideas, and I'm living, breathing proof that yes, you will pass, but you will not get the score you want.
So use the question banks then, huh?
Absolutely, man. Use the question banks to guide your learning. That's the only way to know what you do know and what you don't.
That's great advice. It is. Hey, well, what else I want to know about is, tell me about being a husband and a father in medical school. That's a unique experience.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. Let me say that once. I'm gonna get that at least. I gotta squeeze that in 3 more times before this interview is over. It's got to be natural though. I just gotta float it in there so that my wife doesn't think I'm kissing up. But I truly would not trade it for the world. Too. And here's the reason why. My wife asks me frequently, do I think that I would have a better academic record in med school if I was single? And I tell her yes, but I tell her at a cost. What I have right now is I have an emotional support system that's there for me every single day. I have an instant confidence booster and an instant source of joy whenever I see my daughter when I go home. Money can't buy that. Getting honors and everything wouldn't give me that. And so I made a choice. I made a choice to put my family first. Does that mean I stop studying at certain times of the day? Absolutely, it means that. Is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. For some of the tests that I failed, would I have passed them if I had spent more time studying? Probably. But where would my mental health be? And that's the thing I think about frequently. Mental health is incredibly important. I might go into psych, so obviously it's important to me, but mental health is incredibly important. And I think that if I didn't have my family, if I didn't have my wife, my daughter, who I would not trade for the world, I don't think I'd be in a very good place, man.
Yeah, well, and you kind of have a personal experience with mental health and being in medical school, don't you?
Definitely, man. So my entire life I've had ADHD, and it's pretty severe. But we find ways to cope. Never went on medication. Made it through middle school, high school just fine. Made it through college just fine. Lots and lots of caffeine can definitely simulate ADHD medication in a way. Probably why I'm a massive caffeine addict right now. So plug in there. But that's just that was what I did. I get to med school and I'm still not really coming to terms with how severe my mental illness is. I'm not thinking of it as a mental illness, more just a personality trait. Something that's just it's fine. But every single test in med school, it did not matter what it was. I'm running out of time. The question stem is there and it's long, and I don't make it through that question stem without thinking about something completely random for at least 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there. I got random songs popping into my head during the exam. I'm not able to focus. And pretty much every exam I take, I hit C for the last 10 questions, just because I always run out of time. My mind runs. I try to sit down and study. A 6-hour study session only produces 3 hours of solid studying because I spend the rest of my time goofing off, getting distracted, right?
And how did that affect your? I think you said it affected your IM rotation, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it affected step one. I studied for step one with somebody, and I was a constant thorn in this person's side, just because I could not focus. We get to internal
Not because of
medicine.
your T-shirt.
No, definitely not the T-shirt. I think that actually boosted my score quite a bit. I wore my Michigan shirt to step one, and that's worth at least 4 points right there.
There you go.
Uh,
All right,
yep, so
back to IM there.
Yep. So I'm on IM, and all of this kind of comes to a head, man. I try to sit down and study. I can't focus. That was actually part of the reason why I made the doc deck, which I know we're going to talk about a little later. Don't want to get in that right yet, but yeah, man. I try to sit down and focus. I have difficulty doing that. I'm having difficulty focusing during rounds. It just is all really starting to come to a head. I have all this anxiety now because poor test scores, and now I'm starting to really doubt my ability. Right now, anxiety setting in. Now depression is starting to set in, and I can tell you, man, by the time I hit the IM shelf, I was a wreck. Just a wreck. My life was a mess. I had my wife and my daughter standing faithfully by my side, but I was a shell of who I am now, of who God has made me to be. Um, I hit a real dark patch. Um, and
What happened
so
with treating that? You were telling me somebody
yeah, man.
leave of absence and all that.
Yeah, man. Funny story. So I show up to an EM. I show up to an emergency medicine interest group, right, where we're sitting there and we're talking about applications. And I just pulled the program director aside at the end of it, and I kind of share some of my struggles with focus and things like that. And this program director, if you ever want someone to be blunt and honest with you, go talk to an emergency medicine physician. They keep it real, right? And that's what I needed. And she just kind of had one of those like let's get real moments. She said, you have a wife, you have a daughter, you have people that are relying on you to do your best, and you have a brain condition, a literal brain condition that is impeding you from doing your best, and it's one of the easiest brain conditions to treat. And she's just kind of presenting this matter of factly, and then she says, you need to get your insert expletive here together. And that was the moment when I realized, like, what am I doing? I'm being passive about my life. Um, and I got people on the line now. It's not just me. Um, so I took a leave. Um, I had some health things going on with my daughter anyway. It was time. I took a leave and realized I needed to get my mental health under control, my physical health under control. I also had some sleep apnea, some other things that were really getting in the way. My asthma was starting to flare up. I mean, I was just starting to hit a real bad patch, man. And so I took a leave and realized I needed to get everything together. And I did just that. It ended up being 5 months off, um, 5 long months off, tons of time to spend with my daughter, which was great. Um, I played some video games. I nerded out. I studied personality types for some reason. That's probably the one thing that I really dove into when I wasn't, of course, working on the doc deck. I still worked on my flashcards. I tried to stay up to date with internal medicine. I discovered Amboss, which was a game changer. Um, it was a good 5 months for me. It really was.
Well, the
And so
doc
I
Zach,
come
from what
back.
I hear, is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I have a different opinion on it than most people, but real quick, I'll say this. So I get back, and my first rotation back is pediatrics, right? And I'm back. I'm refreshed. I have a newfound love for medicine that I think had long disappeared. And the thing that really comes from this is, dude, I got probably the best grade I've ever gotten on anything in pediatrics. Um, and I really think it's because I made sure to put my mental health first.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
if anyone's out there and they're listening and they're wondering, like, man, that sounds like me. Like my life is a wreck too. And you're not just, saying that for the sake of the meme that can come from your life being a wreck. Put your mental health first. It'll
Yeah,
pay off.
yeah, I love that. I love it. Hey, well, tell me about this doc deck, man. I mean, I'm just going into second year here. We hear rumors about these legends.
I'm not a legend, man. The legend is Brosencephalon, the man that started it all. Granddaddy Bros. Um, After that, it's Zonky. Um, and I still throw Torquay in there, man. That Torquay micro deck was the micro I used because Not a Cop didn't exist. I'm not a legend, but I uh I get into IM, and I have a really, really poor knowledge base, a really poor foundation. I didn't do step one right. I never studied micro or biochem. I mean, I think I just mailed it in for those classes. Um, and so there were just things I didn't know that I needed to know. I didn't know how to, I didn't know the different types of penicillins. I mean, there was just so much I didn't know. And I knew I'm going to get pimped. I'm going to have to present. I'm going to need treatment plans for my patients. I'm going to need to be able to diagnose. And I can't do any of that. So as much as everyone says, oh, just all you need is UWorld, I probably would have got 20% on UWorld. I mean, like at that point, what are we doing here? And so I realized I needed a strong knowledge base and foundation. So about 2 weeks before I get started. Um, and I watch all the online med ed videos, and I start tearing through Step Up to Medicine, with the intention, of course, of building a strong foundation. So I start making a deck out of it because that's the only way I know how to learn is to make cards. It really started off as something for me to not be an idiot in front of my attendings. And so making Zonky inspired cards because I'm using his style, or her style. I don't know if Zonky, who knows. And so I throw the cards up on the sub just to get feedback on them, right? I want to get better at making flashcards. And people, they get a lot of good reception. People really like them. People tell me to keep going, so I keep going. I convert all of Step Up to Medicine and Online Med Ed into a deck. And you got to remember, the original purpose of all of this was to help me on wards. It had nothing to do with the shelf, right? I just wanted to be competent.
Hmm.
Um, and then that was when it became apparent, like, yes, this deck is amazing for the wards, but if you're still getting 50th percentile on the shelf, what does it mean, right? And so that was when someone presented the idea to me. I wish I knew their Reddit name. I could give them a shout out right now, but I don't remember it. They presented the idea of, how about you incorporate Weewa? You give Weewa a lot of praise. I love the Weewa deck. I still think it's the best step two deck out there, personally. Um, and so I'm like, okay, I can incorporate Weewa, and then it will be a deck that's set for the boards and the wards. Like Online Meta claims to be the boards and the wards anyway.
Mm.
Um, and so I start going through Weewa. I'm tagging it. I'm editing cards. I'm reformatting them. I'm trying to get them to fit in with my deck without having a deck full of duplications, because there were tons of duplicated concepts. Um, and this process took a very, very long time. I mean, we're talking at least 200 hours of man work here, and
Woo!
I think it was more than that. I mean,
Yeah.
it would take me probably about 4 to 5 hours just to sort through, about 150 Weewa cards.
Dang. Dang.
Yeah, it was a lot, especially trying to organize them so that if you do the deck in order, it'll all come to you, all the concepts together. Because that's the beauty of Zonky Step 1 is that it was in order. The workflow is important. That's why I couldn't just start with UWorld. I wasn't confident enough, not without a good workflow. So
gotcha.
I use the deck and I go back and start fixing a lot of my earlier cards because I personally think they're crap. And big spoiler, I think Step Up to Medicine is crap. I think that book is awful. So once I discover Amboss, I immediately realize these Step Up to Medicine cards need to be fixed, right?
Throw some Amboss in there.
Absolutely. So I start going through Amboss, and Amboss is massive. I'm not through Amboss yet, but I start going through Amboss and pretty much, correcting facts from Step Up to Medicine that are, low yield or just straight up wrong and replacing it with high yield Amboss information. And then I start and I upload, I think the most recent version at the time to Reddit, finally a complete doc deck with all of Weewa incorporated. And then I start pediatrics. And I come to realize I tried to do peds the way everyone says to do it. It's so different from internal med, all different pathologies, all different pathophysiology. Yeah. That's not true, right? You can't understand congenital hypothyroidism if you don't understand hypothyroidism.
Yeah.
So that's when I decide, well, how about I just incorporate peds into my medicine deck? And so what this turns into is me taking Weewa Peds and doing exactly what I did with Weewa IM, where I'm tagging it and sorting it and filtering through it. And this time, as I'm going subject by subject, I'm just incorporating into my IM. I'm replacing low yield facts with Amboss, and it's turning into this high yield med peds deck.
Is this an announcement here?
Maybe. And then I start surgery, I'm on surgery right now, and there's not a lot of UWorld surgery, but there's things that weren't in my deck, like hernias, surgical concepts, trauma, tons of stuff to add there. So then I start going through Amboss surgery, and that's what I'm currently doing is now I'm adding that into my deck. So I get a lot of messages, hey, is there going to be a new version of the doc deck? Are you making a peds deck? Are you making a surgery deck? And I guess, King, you got the exclusive.
I love it.
The deck is it's under construction. The version of the doc deck I have is miles ahead of the version that's on Reddit. And so, yes, there's once I release this deck, it will have everything.
Dang, man.
That's the goal, man. It's a deck that will still have information for the wards, but it's designed to have all of UWorld and all of the high yield Amboss information in this deck. That's the goal. And we're almost there. I can announce that it is likely to be finished by early August. That's what we're looking at right now. Can I hit a snag and it be pushed back a month? Absolutely. This is a tentative date. But yeah, man, that's where we're at.
Hey, that's exciting.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's good for me. Like I said, making these decks help me synthesize the information. So
I like it.
Man.
Hey, well, any last words?
Go blue. What else is there to say? Oh, and I wouldn't trade my wife or daughter for the world.
Boom. I love it. Hey, well, Doc, thank you.
Hey, King, you the man. All right.
Thank you. I'm excited. Go Buckeyes.
Oh, no.
Thanks for learning with the King. Be sure to subscribe to our channel as well as follow us on Instagram and Facebook for daily tips and tricks at OnKingMed. Also, here's the email if you have any questions or suggestions for new videos.